The allure of the trading floor is there for everybody who works in an organisation like that. It's where I wanted to be. It's probably where I'd always aspired to be since I'd worked within the banking and the finance world. Masters of the universe type of stuff. It's where I wanted to get to. Success was very important to me, and that's where I wanted to be at.
The Chancellor has ordered an inquiry into the collapse of Britain's oldest merchant bank.
The Barings collapse shakes the markets. The trader who blew the bank's capital...
The man who broke Barings with $1 billion gamble is on the run tonight in the Far East.
If there is anybody here who doesn't remember me, unfortunately I will always be remembered for running up £862 million worth of losses in 1995 and the collapse of Barings Bank. It's very forward-thinking that a university or any organisation is willing to listen to me and to listen to some of the things that went wrong during my time at Barings. It's a story of gross incompetence and negligence, and I would put my own incompetence and negligence very much at the forefront of that. But there were a lot of supporting acts within the bank as well at the same time.
Leeson wasn't meant to be speculating with Barings money, but when a colleague made a mistake, he tried to recoup the losses by placing big bets using futures and options.
And when I left Singapore on the 23rd of February, I didn't know that the bank's capital base was only £250 million. As long as they kept giving me money, I kept trading and trying to trade myself out of the situation. Doesn't make it right, but that's what I was trying to do. When I left on the 23rd of February, I fled to Kuala Lumpur and ended up in a place called Kota Kinabalu. I knew that the effect of my actions was going to be disastrous. I didn't realise quite how catastrophic it was going to be because it didn't enter my mind for one moment that I thought the bank would collapse. When I woke up on the 25th of February, I went down to the newsagents in the hotel that I was staying in, and I picked up the local newspaper, the Asian Wall Street Journal, and the headline across the front of the Asian Wall Street Journal was "British Bank Collapses." My immediate thought was, that's great, somebody's in more trouble than me. When I was arrested in 1995 in Frankfurt and then went through the whole process of the court and talking to the media and everything else that happened during that period, Barings was always described as this wake-up call that nobody would ever forget, because a 233-year-old merchant bank collapsed as a consequence of my actions. But, if you look back over the last 10 years, 12, 13 years since the date of Barings, you'll see that there are far too many financial scandals and rogue trading scandals to mention. And the fact is that only lip service was ever paid to the fact that risk management needed to improve.
One man who can offer expert insight into what's happened at Société Générale is indeed Nick Leeson, the original rogue trader.
The markets are in turmoil at the moment, and to me it comes down to a very simple thing, and that's the degree of understanding. The management of the bank, the people making the decisions are totally divorced from what was going on. This, I've heard some of the reports that are around today that, one report that I heard earlier was that this happened over a very short period. It can't have done. The guy was apparently trading CAC futures and DAX futures, which are exchange-traded products that everybody can see the positions that are open on the exchange. I don't think that was the only thing that he was trading, but this has to have happened over a long period of time. So it's incompetence and negligence of a very high order. Now, same thing happened at Barings years and years ago. I would put my incompetence and negligence at the forefront of that and never try to hide from that. But this is I imagine when the story unfolds, and it will take a few days for it to unfold, the degree of correlation will be extremely high. But the Bank of England over the last few years has always protected themselves with this theory of responsible lending. And I think the situation that we're in at the moment will prove to anybody that there has been no responsible lending over the last 5 or 6 years.
And that's why we're in as much difficulty as we are at the moment. If you add the fact that at the moment there are something like $164 trillion worth of trades in the OTC market.
Over the counter?
Over the
deals
counter.
between two banks, for example?
So these don't exist. They're not in the equation at the moment, but they're there, and they have to be honoured. So unless you have a regulatory authority or a central bank that understands exactly what's going on in the financial markets. Now, the problem, the very talented individuals that you have in the room and that exist in other countries are naturally drawn towards the trading environment where the big profits can be made, the big salaries can be handed down. That has to change. That something has to be done that attracts these people into the regulatory, the compliance and the governance framework, so that people who understand the business and have that aptitude and intelligence to be able to understand the business can control what's going on.